Good morning all. Welcome to the Standards Committee meeting of the 15th of May 2025. May I remind everyone present that the meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded via the internet, and this recording archived for future viewing. If any participant wishes to speak, can they please use the raise hand function in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen? And when invited to address by the chair, please could all participants ensure that their microphone and camera is on to ensure that it can be seen and heard when actively participating. Please could all participants please raise their hand and please not use the chat function for the sake of the recording. So to begin business this morning, could I invite nominations for chair, please? Just bear with me. Yes, Councillor Summers. Oh, Councillor Summers, we can't hear you at the moment.
Sorry about that. I'll nominate Richard Hendicott.
Thank you. And is there a seconder for that, please?
I'm happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Franks. Any further nominations, please? Councillor Birch?
I was going to second Richard's nomination.
Thank you, Councillor Birch. Any further nominations then, please? Okay. In light of there being no further nominations, Mr. Hendicott is duly elected as the chair for the committee. Mr. Hendicott, are you happy to come onto screen, please?
Yes, hopefully I am on screen. Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to continue for another year. We've heard that Lorna Tinsley, unfortunately, has resigned because I was going to offer her the chance of doing it if she wanted to do it. But there we are. So item 2 on the agenda is now the appointment of the vice chair. Are there nominations, please? Bearing in mind that Mrs. Tinsley won't be, has resigned.
Can it be made clear whether the vice chair has to be an elected member or a non-elected member? Is it open to either or both, please?
I'm afraid the terms of reference of the committee do specify that the chair and the vice chair position needs to be an independent member.
Just for clarity, thank you.
Well, in that case, I'd like to propose Gerwyn Watkins as the vice chairman.
Happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Birch.
Are you happy to take on that role, Gerwyn? It's very onerous.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good. Okay, so we move on to item 3, apologies for absence.
Just one apology from Mr. Greg Alford, Chair.
Thank you. Well, do you want to confirm, or Vicky, confirm the position with regard to Lorna Tinsley?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mrs. Tinsley resigned this week. I don't think she'll mind me saying that as a result of recent ill health, she's found it difficult to attend these meetings and has decided to resign her position on the committee. So we will now proceed to advertise the position, and the applications, when they're received, will be considered by the Appointments Committee for the Standards Committee.
Thank you. Is Ronnie Alexander with us?
I am indeed, Chair.
Good. I was just thinking of the quorate position, because we are 3 independents and then 3 councillors. So, Vicky, that's all right, isn't it?
That's
Or
correct,
Amy?
Chair. Yeah. Yes, you are quorate, Chair. Yes, as the terms of reference state that you need to have an equal number of independent and Vale, so you are quorate.
Oh, good. Yeah, we don't have to ask somebody to stand down. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's move on to 4 minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of March. Looking at page 3, it's probably me, but I had about 2 or 3 attempts at reading this and I couldn't understand it. The public, halfway down the monitoring officer's update report, the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales, PSOW, response to recommendation 2 of the independent review of investigations by PSOW into Code of Conduct complaints. So it was their response to their recommendations. Was that right?
If you recall, Chair, and the committee considered my update to the committee in relation to several elements. Firstly, in the point that you're making relating to recommendation 2 of the Public Service Ombudsman for Wales's report, that was the report of Dr. Melissa McCullough. As a result of that investigation or inquiry, it was recommended, and that recommendation has been taken forward, that on receipt of a complaint in relation to an elected member, whether of the principal or town and community council, that complaint will be notified immediately to the member being complained about. Previously, that notification wouldn't be received by that member unless and until the Ombudsman had decided whether or not to investigate the complaint. So it was simply to make committee aware of that.
Okay, so it was me. I couldn't understand it properly. Are there any comments on the minutes?
Just one to note in relation to page 4. Not an amendment, but the committee has before it today the terms of reference in relation to the working group who are going to review the procedures referred to.
Yeah.
The committee will go on to consider that today.
Okay, so is everybody happy that there was a true record of the meeting held on the 27th of March? Or if anybody's got an objection, perhaps they could put the yellow sign up. No. Okay. Amy, perhaps you'll accept those as the true record. Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you. Now we move on to item 5, to receive declarations of interest and the nature of such interests under the Council's Code of Conduct. Are there any? I shall take silence as meaning that there aren't any. Okay, thank you very much. Item 6, applications for reports of the monitoring officer and applications for dispensation. I think we've got 3 here. Vicky, do you want to present those to us, please?
Yes, of course. There are 3 applications before the committee today who are requested to consider to determine the applications for dispensation. So the first application relates to Principal Councillor Belinda Lovelock Edwards. It's a request to speak and vote and remain in meetings where issues are raised at meetings of the council in respect of the Vale of Glamorgan Council Visit the Vale service. The basis of the application relates to Belinda Lovelock Edwards' husband's employment. He's self-employed and undertakes walks and talks across the Vale and has been engaged in Visit the Vale service and Visit Wales. These reports relating to the Visit the Vale are considered by the Scrutiny Committee. Belinda Lovelock Edwards has no involvement with her husband's business, and as precautionary measure, she's requested a dispensation and paragraphs D and G. Yeah.
Thank you. My slight concern was voting on this, bearing in mind, and the next one, bearing in mind he gets paid. Might it put her in an embarrassing situation? And if, for example, he said, well, it's going to be £10,000 to tourist walk, and she voted in favour of it, it might look very bad. Is that, or am I being too suspicious?
No,
Again,
no,
when
those were my thoughts as well, Chairman.
Yeah. Vicky, do you want to comment?
I think it's ultimately a matter for the committee. I think the basis of this application, which relates to Councillor Lovelock Edwards' role as principal councillor, and her current position as vice chair of the Homes and Safe Communities Scrutiny Committee, which has now got a new name. It really is entirely a matter for the committee. Obviously, Councillor Lovelock Edwards isn't involved in her husband's business. He is obviously a close and personal association of hers. It's a matter for your determination.
What do the councillors? What do the councillors think?
Sorry, if I could just finish. It's an issue really of whether or not the committee consider that there's a prejudicial interest, but notwithstanding that, it's whether or not the committee feel that Councillor Lovelock Edwards' ability to make decisions impartially would be affected, and voting on those matters, on these reports, would be affected as a result of the association and her husband's business. Sorry, thank you.
No, it was my fault. To use the modern term, it's just the optics of it. What do the councillors think? Councillor Birch?
Well, I'll let Chris go first because I'm in the same party as Belinda, so I'll let him go first.
Okay. Councillor Frank?
I'm generally relaxed about these things, more than perhaps others. But in Belinda's self-interest, it might be as well that she doesn't vote. I don't think it will happen very often, but to protect her, it's fine for her to speak. But as I think you used the phrase optics, I think in her interests, the optics might be a little bit difficult. So I think I would go just for speaking.
Councillor Birch?
I agree. That was what I was going to say. Just because, I mean, we live in a fevered political world now, don't we? And I think that anything, I mean, not just about Belinda, but about the conduct of the council in general, I think it would be better if she could speak, by all means, having declared the interest, but not vote.
Thank you. Well, that seems to be the consensus. Anybody object to that? Anybody object to that? No. So are we happy that perhaps we can deal with both those applications from Belinda Lovelock Edwards, that they are that she's allowed to speak but not vote? Can you put up your signs, your yellow fingers, if you agree with that?
Can I just come in and say that they are quite different, because she is likely, I mean, there is the possible perception that she might benefit financially from her husband being involved in the Visit the Vale service, but actually the food bank, there are several councillors involved in food banks, and I don't think that we assume, or we can make the assumption that they are benefiting from food banks. In general, they are donating and being on managing committees, and I think it's not likely to be of any benefit to them. So I think that I'm happy to see her not voting on the Visit the Vale service, but I can't see why she shouldn't be allowed to vote on the food bank. And I know of at least 3 other councillors who are involved in food banks. And in fact, I donate to a food bank. So I think you'd be taking a lot of people out of the discussions who are not actually benefiting from it. They're simply, being part of it is a kind of charitable thing.
Yeah, no, the point was that I thought was, she says, my husband is employed on a part-time basis by them. So presumably he gets paid. And if there's a discussion on how much he should get paid, it might be embarrassing. But let's deal with the first one. Let's deal with the first one first, as it were, the Visit the Vale. Is everybody happy that she should speak but not vote on that item? You're putting your yellow hands up to indicate yes. Fine. That's so, Vicky. That's agreed. And I haven't checked the relevant paragraphs. Are D and G relevant, Vicky?
Yes, they are. Yes.
Thank you. So let's move on to her second application, and the council has made a different point there. This is a different matter.
Sorry, apologies, Chair. In relation to the first application for Councillor Lovelock Edwards, I wouldn't suggest that G is now appropriate, because G sets out the registrable interest relates to business considered by an overview scrutiny committee of the council and members' interests. Oh, sorry, yeah, that would be appropriate. No, it wouldn't, because it's not of a pecuniary or financial interest. So I'd suggest D.
Okay, thank you. Right, the second item, what are your thoughts on that, bearing in mind what I think it was Councillor Birch mentioned? Councillor Franks and Councillor Charles, do you want to comment? Or Councillor Summers, do you want to comment?
Yeah, could I ask Vicky a question, I suppose, really? Can we say that she can't vote on matters that affect her husband's payment, but can still vote on other matters? Are we allowed to differentiate?
Yes, yeah, that is possible. The committee can do that. The committee could say excluding matters relating to financial payments. For example, it's not clear to me from the application, and I don't know if Amy has any more information, whether or not Councillor Lovelock Edwards, his husband, is actually remunerated for his role, given the comments by Councillor Birch and my understanding of the Coastlands Food Bank within the Vale, that most of those positions are voluntary. So I don't know if any clarification can be sought on that.
Councillor Charles?
Councillor Charles, we aren't able to hear or see you, I'm afraid.
Am I there now?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. There are. I'm a member of Coastlands Family Church, but there are 2 positions that are paid. That is the one position that runs the food bank, and then the manager above her who manages quite a large area. But I don't think that any councillors, apart from one, has a paid position with anything to do with food banks, and it's certainly not Councillor Lovelock.
Okay, well, I read employed to mean that he was paid. I mean, if it was that he volunteers, then I would have no problem. Councillor Franks?
Well, I spotted the same word, Richard. I think employed can only mean some remuneration. If it should have been assist or volunteers, that's a different matter. But it does say employed, so perhaps we need a little bit of clarification.
Well, rather than having to come back, can we accept what Councillor Summers said, that she can speak and vote unless it involves payments to her husband?
Chair, I'm just wondering, would it be appropriate if the committee were minded to move on to Councillor Hennessy's, and in the meantime I will contact Councillor Lovelock Edwards for clarification?
Well, that's a very good idea. Thank you very much. Yes.
You're welcome.
Okay. Councillor Charles, your hand is up. Do you want to say anything?
No, thank you. Sorry.
Right. Okay. We'll go on to Councillor Hennessy. Vicky, do you want to help us with this?
Thank you, Chair. This is an application by Councillor Hennessy to speak, vote and remaining meetings of the Vale of Glamorgan Council and Barry Town Council on matters relating to the Standing Advisory Council on Religious Education are being discussed. So in respect of Councillor Hennessy's application, as I say, he'd like to speak and vote. He's seeking to rely on paragraphs D and F, which I'll come back to. Councillor Hennessy was appointed to SACRA, as it's known, independently. So this wasn't an appointment by the council, by the Vale of Glamorgan Council. Had he been appointed by the Vale of Glamorgan Council as their representative, as the meeting is a meeting held in public, he would have had the right to speak and vote at the council committee meetings, of which he's a member. He's a member of the scrutiny committee, where matters relating to SACRA are reported. And he has applied for the dispensation to allow him to speak and vote on the basis that the dispensation will allow him to do this, which he considers is appropriate based on the fact that he has an extensive expertise as a member of SACRA. It's also noted that reports are also considered by full council on occasions in relation to that committee.
I assume your recommendation is that this should be allowed.
It is, yeah.
Yes. Anybody object to that? Perhaps you could put your hand up if you are. No. Okay. So that will be permitted. And again, that is to speak and vote. D and F. Relevant.
In relation to this application, D, E and F, Chair.
Okay,
so, D, yeah, okay.
Thank you. D, E and F, yes.
Sorry, D, F and G, I do apologise.
D, F and G, okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Jamie, you're back on, yes.
Yes, just to inform you, Chair, I'm afraid I haven't been able to reach Councillor Lovelock Edwards. So the recommendation would still remain to approve as received, but excluding matters relating to any financial gain, if the committee were minded, or we could defer.
Well, I'm happy with the first of those choices rather than defer. But what's the feeling of the meeting? Anybody want to volunteer?
Happy to take the recommendation, Chair.
Right, thank you. Councillor Charles?
Happy to agree the recommendation.
So that it's clear, we're going to amend it so that it is, I forgot the exact wording, but if her husband's payment was to be discussed, she didn't have a vote. That's how we're going to put it. Okay. Mr. Alexander, did you want to comment?
Thank you, Chair. Only to say that I concur with that view.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I think we're agreed on that. Vicky, you happy with that?
Yes, and Amy can draft the wording based on the committee's decision in that regard.
Thank you very much. Good. All right. Standards Committee Forward Work Programme. Would you like to deal with that, Vicky?
Yes, this is the report relating to the Forward Work Programme. Members will recall that the committee considered the Forward Work Programme earlier, or rather at the end of the last municipal year. But since then, we've made a number of alterations to it. So this is a revised Forward Work Programme, and essentially, I say a number of changes. Essentially, it consisted of moving reports to different meetings, so to coincide with the timelines for when certain reports were available to be reported to the committee. So I would ask the members to agree the Forward Work Programme, and obviously, if they wish to make any amendments or additions as necessary.
Thank you. Should we have under the 17th of July meeting with leaders?
Yes, that's their chair. So it's a draft standards committee annual report, which provides feedback from the political group leaders on their compliance with their duties. And I think it's section 62.
They've got to physically attend that day.
Yes, there's a procedure that this committee previously adopted in relation to how that report is considered by the committee. So those arrangements following today's meeting and into next month will now start to be progressed. And I think the work on that, Amy, has already started, I think, hasn't
it? Yes, it has, Chair.
Thank you. The other point is, I just wanted to get clarification on this. Observations at the Vale, Glamorgan Council and Town and Community Council meetings. I'm all in favour of that, and I received a message from, I think it was you, Amy, or maybe somebody else, setting out the dates or not the exact dates, but which councils we should go to. I didn't reply. I don't know whether you needed a reply, but basically I'm in agreement. I thought we would be waiting now till May until all the councils set out their dates, and then we can take it further. Were you were you expecting a reply from me? In which case I apologise if I didn't.
No, Chair. No apology needed. We obviously have circulated to the independent members a draft of what an allocation could be. However, we haven't actually sought final agreement from those members yet, because obviously we are, as you have intimated, we're waiting for the dates of the relevant town and community councils to come through in order for me to suggest those to you. Obviously, the annual meetings for the town and community councils will be happening over this time and the forthcoming weeks. So I'm hoping that the July meeting would be an appropriate time for me to bring a final schedule to you. And obviously, since you've had that draft, also obviously now Councillor Tinsley has resigned. Mrs. Tinsley has resigned. So obviously we're going to need to go through that recruitment process and have a look at the draft schedule again on that basis. So you are correct. There's no reply required. We were just seeking initial thoughts from the independent members, and some have very kindly come back to me. But I have to say that the general consensus is that they are content with the draft at the moment, pending further presentation to the committee.
Thank you. Well, I was going to ask Ronnie and Gelwyn if they were happy with that. Ronnie, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Chair. I'm conscious of the fact that Amy is working on all of this, and I acknowledge that. I am content with what's been suggested, and I've responded to Amy on that basis. But from my perspective, it's just a personal plea, please, to get the meetings into my diary as quickly as possible in terms of forward planning. Thank you.
Sorry, Gelwyn, would you want to comment?
Mr. Watkins, I'm afraid you're not on screen at the moment.
Sorry. The communication, I haven't received that from you, Amy. It's probably for the same reason as I couldn't connect to the meeting this morning. Technical problem. So could you send it me again, please?
Absolutely. But just to advise you, Mr. Watkins, that was several months ago that was circulated, but I will make sure that gets through to you again later today.
Thank you.
Right. So we're happy with that as the forward work programme for the municipal year 2025 to 26. Nobody else wants to comment, do they? No. Now we move on to the Standards Committee Procedures Working Group Terms of Reference. I think we know what this is about, Vicky. And it's Councillor Summers, Mr. Watkins, myself, and Councillor, and who else was it? Councillor
Birch.
Birch, yeah. However, the terms of reference, I'm not at all happy with the first one and the main one, because what the resolution of the council was that the council undertakes a review of Appendix 2 protocol standards and conduct expected by members, not that this committee should do it. And I think that's a huge matter for us to have to undertake.
That's correct, but I think it would be helpful if the committee could consider it and just make some suggestions or comments or observations to feedback in relation to that review. And it's something that we have discussed, as you'll recall, with the group leaders when we last met with them. And there is obviously a broader agenda in relation that sits behind the motion that was considered by full council in December last year. And it seemed to me that this was the right committee for some of those matters to be considered. I'm not suggesting that the review is undertaken, but certainly a consideration of the points raised and the matters that relate to this motion, with comments and observations back. It was a matter for the committee ultimately, but those would be my observations.
What do the other members of the working group think? Gerwin?
Yes, I would be happier if the council, or at least the council leaders, recommended terms of reference or put terms of reference to us rather than we fix our own.
Chair, I believe you're not on screen at the moment.
I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did ask Councillor Summers to, if he wants to comment.
Yes, Chair. I think my general understanding was that we were focusing on the local disputes resolution procedures and trying to probably review that with a view to tidying it up a bit, rather than the full standards committee procedures. So I, like yourself, am slightly surprised that that's part of the brief.
Thank you. Councillor Charles?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, really. I don't think we should set our own rules for our own committee. I think that the leaders, as was suggested, should come through.
Okay. I mean, I think, I think we can look at the conclusions of the monitoring officers group as part of the council's local dispute resolution procedure. And we can meet and request the monitoring officer review be undertaken of the procedure for dealing with the allegations made against councillors. I think we are really enforcing the standards rather than setting them. I think that's the distinction. And I mean, I was present when that motion was passed, and I really don't think it's for us to decide what is acceptable and non-acceptable behaviour. And I don't want it included in the terms of reference that we're going to do that. Vicky, do you want to come back on it?
It's ultimately a massive. Yeah, it's ultimately a matter for the committee, really, to decide, Chair. My thinking behind this, following discussions with the group leaders, was that obviously at some point there's going to need to be a decision or some agreement, some consensus between the group leaders as to how that motion is taken forward, because obviously that is a motion that's been passed by full council. I take on board the comments that are made. Perhaps it isn't appropriate for it to appear within the terms of reference, but if the committee is invited to make observations, then obviously I suggest that the committee would be well placed to do that in their role as upholding the ethical standards which members are required to comply with.
Can I suggest that it's not included in the terms of reference, but note will be taken of that motion, and it's just left at that. Councillor Summers, are you wanting to comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Councillor Summers, I'm afraid you've come off screen.
Sorry. I agree. It's a matter for the leaders to put that together in the first instance, and if we have any involvement at all, whether it is listed in these terms of reference or not is perhaps debatable. But it would be to review or to comment on their review, to see if we were happy that it did comply with how we would want to manage this committee or run this committee.
Yes, I mean when I was present at the council meeting, it occurred to me then, it's all very well and should be applauded that the standards have got to be high. But the issue is, how do you then enforce those? And I think it's our job, and it's not going to be an easy one. So my recommendation or my suggestion is that is removed from the terms of reference, but that it is noted. Do the other members of the working group agree with that?
Can you outline for me exactly what you are asking us to agree or not to agree with? I mean, I'm looking at it, and there are so many little bits of information that I would like you to feel clear in my own mind what I am agreeing to or not.
Sorry, looking at the Standards Committee, there's the document procedure working group, the terms of reference, that section, the A section, all down comes out. A comes out, and we deal with B and C, little b and little c.
I'm not really sure why we wouldn't be dealing with sub-item 2, council takes a review of Appendix 2 protocol standards of conduct. I mean, we're only reviewing it. We're not going to completely rewrite it, because we are the people who deal with the breaches of these allegations. So I think reviewing what those standards are would make sense, because we're making sure that we're actually agreeing with what we're supposed to be enforcing.
Well, yes, but it was the council, reading that back, the council resolved that the council undertakes a review of Appendix 2, not the Standards Committee. That's the point I'm making.
Yes, I accept that, but I can see that I would consider it part of our role to review the strictures that we place on other people, and then we uphold those standards that we've placed on them. So I would be quite happy to undertake part 2 as well as B and C. But I bow to the wishes of the majority.
Thank you. Well, Councillor Summers and Mr. Watkins, you're on the subcommittee. You let me know what you think.
Yes, I'm slightly confused, Chairman. It seems to me that the council is undertaking a review of Appendix 2 of the protocol. I think it would be helpful if this committee went back to the council and said, we've set up a working group to assist you in that task. What would you wish our terms of reference to be? What would you wish us to look at? Because the standards are not set by this committee. As you say, this committee helps enforce the standards, but it doesn't set them. The standards are set by the council.
I think bringing together both Councillor Birch's observations and those of Mr. Watkins. Surely it's the council that needs to review it, but then we possibly need to be looking at their review and making any appropriate comment on that. I think Councillor Birch is right in the sense that we need to actually see what they're suggesting we should be enforcing. But equally, it's the council that have said they are going to review those standards for us to then enforce. So it's a two-stage process almost.
Chair, in light of the comments that are being presented, may I suggest that we defer this item, because I do appreciate that obviously there needs to be a secondary conversation with other parties that may be involved in the process, as Councillor Summers is referring to. So my suggestion would be that we defer this item and we can bring it back to you at the July committee.
Yes, I'm happy with that. And perhaps you can seek clarification from the council in the meantime of what they would expect of us.
Yes, Chair,
Okay.
we can do that, yes.
Does everybody else agree with that proposal?
Yes, I'm happy with that, Chair.
Yes, I'm happy with that, Chairman.
Good, yeah. Fine, it looks as if everybody agrees with that. All right, well, that item will be deferred for clarification purposes. We now move on to 9, correspondence with the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales. Vicky?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is the report. It's a housekeeping report that's brought to each Standards Committee meeting. The update is provided under part 2 of the report, so I've got nothing further to add under part 1.
Thank you. Item 10, any items which the Chair has decided are urgent. Amy, nothing's been referred to me. Are you aware of any?
That's correct, Chair. There are no items under urgency for you.
Okay, thank you. Well, now I suggest we move to part 2. Do you agree with that? Everybody agree? Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
can see councillors are seconding to move to part 2, Chair. If you could bear with me
Yeah.
one moment just to make sure that we've moved into part 2.